Hello and welcome to a new video on my channel. I'm Adam and today we got the continuation of the Beast Quest Retrospective series that I've been doing, which I started last year actually. So next up in the order in which I'm doing them is Series 21. I understand it's been a bit of a break since my last one, but I now got time to do a couple, so I'll be doing, well, a couple. So that's what I'll be doing. So for Series 21, which is next, this series is called The Sorcerer's Revenge, which consists of these four beasts, them being Grimon the Bison Horror, Skra the Night Scavenger, Torantix the Bone Spider, and Lipida the Shadow Fiend. If you're unfamiliar with how a retrospective works, or how I do it anyway, I go through each book one by one, highlight the positives from it, and maybe a little bit of negatives, along with an overall summary on the series where I give my own personal opinion on it. So I have read this series recently, and everything is still fresh in my mind. Anything that I do forget then clearly isn't worth noting. So with that, let's get into the retrospective. Please bear in mind, anything that's said about these pieces is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. And let me know what your opinion on Series 21 is. But Sorcerer's Revenge for me is one of those series which is one of the most underrated series to me. So for me to actually have an opportunity to gush about how good this series is, then I'll take it. So let's get into it. Okay, we've got Grimon the Bison Horror first. Whilst being based on a mole, the design is actually really good. With the tentacle-like appendages right here, and the single glowing eye, and the imagery of him coming out of the earth on his cover, so that's the earth around him there. It's an extra cherry on top of the cake of what is actually a rather good design for a rather lame-looking beast. Abilities are unfortunately lacking, but I can forgive that considering that it is the weakest point. But the abilities are what you'd expect for a mole beast, so I guess that's okay. As for fight, apart from the ending in which Grimon is constantly being picked on by myself for ending the same way Komodo's fight ended, it's actually a good fight, with most of it taking place in an underground tunnel and with Grimon having greasy fur. No, sorry. And with Grimon having greasy fur, he proved being a hard beast to catch. So I think the fight ending the same way where Komodo's fight ended, it kind of shows how powerful this beast is, where the only thing that can take out Grimon is himself. As for Battle of the Beasts, I can't say much about Grimon, as he took part in 2 tournaments, and in both of them he died in round 1. So not a great reputation he holds, but who knows, maybe his time to shine is coming. Maybe it won't, but I do hope Grimon does have a chance to shine, make it into round 3 in a future tournament. I doubt it will happen, but you can dream. Skra the Night Scavenger. On a design aspect, Skra is easily the best, with one of the most unique designs to ever come out of the series as a whole. With a Chimera theme, the beast can be literally anything, and Skra will probably stay as the best looking Chimera beast of all the Chimera beasts we have or will have. Abilities are really good with the enhanced speed, natural weaponry, and more. What? With enhanced, sorry, I'm reading off a script here. With the enhanced speed, natural weaponry, and more abilities, it makes him seem like nothing special. But then his signature ability makes Skra give off enough heat to evaporate an entire lake in a matter of seconds, with the only drawback requiring him to rest for a bit to regain more energy. That ability more than makes up for the other abilities being a bit lackluster, making the ability spreads to be great instead of eh. The fight was also very good, starting in the mountains and having it end in a village, with Skra being pinned down by a tree trunk, which was kind of unique, as beasts rarely get pinned down by something as simple as a tree. So, unique points there, but ultimately the fight is probably the weakest point of this beast. As for Battle of the Beast, Skra has been incredible in the two tournaments he's taken part in, finishing in the top 13 of the New Generation tournament and the top 10 in the All Generation tournament. He holds one of the best reputations I've seen throughout the tournaments I've hosted. However, he made it quite far in the tournaments he's taken part in. That could all entirely go out the window if he dies in round one in the next tournament he participates in. Ultimately, though, with him being such a great beast, in my opinion, I do hope he does well in future tournaments and makes it further than the top 10. So, with that, moving on. Tyrantix the Bone Spider. Design-wise, is actually quite unique, as we don't often get treated to a skeleton beast, and we also don't get many spiders either, so having a combination of both that gives off a great intimidation factor is a real treat for us as fans of this series. Abilities are also incredible, as they are what you would expect, but also with an add-on that makes them better. Wall crawling, natural weaponry, sticky web silk rather, and also a regeneration of lost limbs makes this beast a very good reason to have arachnophobia. For the fight, despite taking place in a desert, which I'm normally not a fan of, it was actually quite enjoyable for me. But my favourite part of it was Furno flying in to defeat Tyrantix for Tom and Eleanor, for Tom and Alina. Because he was that powerful, it took a beast to kill a beast. For Battle of the Beast, Tyrantix took part in 3 tournaments, and with the results being a round 1 finish for New Generation, round 2 for All Generation, and then finishing in the semi-finals for Insects only / Arachnids only. It has put Tyrantix on an uphill battle to gain at least a good reputation. Whilst she wasn't consistent, it's a start for her to gain some good points in these tournaments. Whether she can continue on this uphill battle to get a better reputation, it entirely depends on her capabilities of fighting in future tournaments. Lipida the Shadow Fiend. With design, Lipida is actually well designed and in my opinion has a bit of beauty in her design, looking very sleek but magical at the same time. The tail and wings are by far the best part of the design. The abilities are unfortunately a bit basic but executed well. Standout abilities are Flight, Razor Sharp Wings, and the Tail Whip. All in all, the abilities are good and unique to an extent. The fight started out and seemed like it was going to be basic, but then the story kicks in towards the end of the fight, with the twist being that the villain, Malvel, wanted Tom to defeat Lipida just so the totems that rise after each of these beasts in this series are defeated will rise and open the gates to the Netherworld, causing an unholy amount of beasts coming out and wreaking havoc over the kingdom of Avantia. And once Tom figured that out and refused to kill Lipida, Malvel took it upon himself to finish the job himself, causing the gates to open and only closing once Malvel fell in with the Book of Durfsin. Incredible fight, by the way, towards the end, especially with that plot twist. As for Battle of the Beasts, like Tyrantix, Lipidas took part in 3 tournaments, with the results being round 2 for New Generation, round 2 for All Generation, and round 2 for Insects only. So, despite ranging in levels of closeness to the finals due to how many beasts took part in each tournament, unfortunately, it makes Lipida consistently average during these tournaments, with her downside always being how frail she is compared to most other beasts. And with that is a negative, obviously, but making it past round 1 in each tournament, only to make it to round 2 and die in each tournament, it says that Lipida's gone against a decent amount of beasts, and normally with each beast that's taken her down in each tournament, it's normally a beast that makes it quite far in their respective tournament, at least to round 4 or further. Ultimately, I may be completely wrong because I can't remember who Lipida went against in the New Generation tournament, but she lost to Merc in the All Generation tournament, and was it Larnak that beat you in the Insects only? I don't know. But the round 2 in Insects Only was the quarterfinal, so it's not like it's a bad thing for down in round 2. But with that, that's the retrospective on each individual beast done, and cut back to me. Okay, so with that part of the retrospective done, ultimately it comes down to what's next is the ranking which I do of all my retrospective / reviews, as well as my own overall thoughts on this series. Now, rereading this series, I originally said, oh, it's one of the best ones. It's like consistently great, has such an underrated story, great fights, great beasts, even Greymon, and a bunch of other aspects as well, which is why I believe is underrated. However, after rereading it again, it's still not talked about enough. It's still one of the most underrated series, in my opinion. The beasts, as I said, are incredible. I even started to grow a likeness for Greymon. But then you got the other beasts afterwards, where you got either unique battlefield, be it, let's say, underground tunnels. You got mountains where it starts in the mountains, goes down into a village in the mountains. You also got in the dead of night in the middle of the plains area. I believe it's in the plains anyway. And only for the villain of that series to take out that beast is a great plot twist in that fight. The only boring battlefield is, of course, the desert arena, but even then, they still made it enjoyable, showing off Tyrantix's abilities, and then bringing in an old favourite from Series 1 to finish the job. Quite frankly, there are a few negatives in this series, but not enough to warrant it having a mild dislike. Ultimately, I do believe this series is only considered average because it's sandwiched between Series 20, which I know has its cult following, and then Series 22, which is, in my opinion, and lots of others' opinions, except for Jack, one of the best series of Beast Quest. Not the best, one of the best. So with that knowledge, it does kind of say Series 21 does deserve recognition. And I know in the collab I did with Jack and Lucas when I said that Series 21 is underrated, they both agreed with me and both agreed that Series 21 deserves more recognition. However, now, obviously I can't speak for them here, but there's a part of me which believes that I do not believe they would have thought that if I haven't been as passionate about saying Series 21 is underrated. Because I generally believe that if I didn't believe Series 21 was underrated, they'll consider it to just be a mid-series at that, with nothing special at all. There's tons of special things from this series, aspects from this series, which is why I will preach to the Lord that is underrated. Ultimately, they will probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. But the thing is, though, out of myself, Jack, and Lucas, there's only one of us which goes on and on and on about how underrated this series is, and that's me. Because Lucas rarely ever says it, Jack rarely ever says it. But then again, they preach about other series which they believe is underrated. So for Jack, to me especially, it's Series 23. And for Lucas, it's Series 18, 23, and I don't remember what his number 1 was. But yeah, there are all different series that we believe are underrated, and Series 21 is my one. So going on to the ranking now, this is ultimately from my least favorite to my favorite. As I've said, all these species have highlights which makes them great in my opinion. However, I still need to rank them from my least favorite to favorite. So coming in last place, simply because, as you saw the cover, simply because of how bad he's done in Battle of the Beasts in the past, and the fact that whilst he may have a chance to shine in the future, I don't believe it's actually going to happen. It is Greymon the Bison Horror. I have grown appreciation for this beast, but simply because of how much better the other beasts are for, the whole gimmick they have in their book, everything that happens in their book, plus their success in Battle of the Beasts, it makes them miles better than this one. and I could think of two other seasons of Beast Quest, two other series of Beast Quest where there's four books and one is drastically worse than the other simply because of how great the other beasts are, and the last place book in my ranking is like mid. And those other series are series 26 with Silexa being the beast that isn't the home run, and then series 29 with Garox being the beast that isn't the home run. But even then, I still like those beasts, and I still like this beast. So this is one of the few seasons of Beast Quest where every beast is a good beast in my opinion. Even Greymon, which I know back in the day I would constantly rip into Greymon, and I'm not the only one that's done that as well. But there's a lot of people that will make fun of Greymon for being, well, dying the same way Komodo dies. But I look back at it and think, yeah, maybe I was a bit too harsh on you. And yeah, so I'm giving Greymon some good points at the moment. And I didn't realize how much I liked Greymon until at the start of this year when I ranked all my least favorite beasts from each series. And Greymon was in the top 5. Out of 31, it was in the top 5. I have no idea how that happened, but I am not complaining. Coming in third place for the series is the finale of this series, and it's Leipida the Shadow Fiend. Ultimately, whilst this beast may have a more consistent reputation in Battle of the Beasts over the next beast, which I'm going to talk about, I need to mention that the reason why this is in third place is because the abilities are probably the most basic of all the beasts here. And I'm only saying that with a grain of salt because Greimon's abilities are also basic, but this one I would say is more basic. But it's only above Greymon for the plot twist during the fight, as well as the design simply meeting my appeal more better. But then you also got its journey through Battle of the Beasts, where it has some creative kills here. But then it's also a case of, are you really that good in Battle of the Beasts? No. Yeah. So, providing Greymon gets his chance to shine and Leipida still stays consistently average, Leipida may become my least favorite of this series, which I would be very surprised about, by the way. But I believe when I did my ranking on this series before, this beast was second place. And it was a very close call between this one and the next beast, but I did end up going with the other beast this time. So third place for Leipida. It may still go down, but it may also come back up. I hold that beast in high regard, and the chances of me actually saying, yeah, Greimon's best than you, it's low, but I can't say it's impossible. Before I can say it's impossible, and I have, but now I can't say that because now I'm actually starting to second guess myself, thinking Greimon's actually a lot better than I thought it was. Let that sink in. So in second place we have Tyrantix the Bone Spider. I think this was pretty obvious that this one was going to be second place. Now, what makes Tyrantix second place is her incredible run in Battle of the Beast Insects only, because I didn't expect her to make it into the semi-finals, let alone be very violent with making it to the semi-finals. And what did it take to kill her? The power of was it the winner that killed you? Yeah, so the only beast that can take out Tyrantix was actually the winner itself. And if she didn't go against the winner of Insects Only, I generally believe Tyrantix would have been a finalist, because I think she could have taken on Larnak and Skolo any day. Maybe with a tough fight, but I think she would have been fine against them. But yeah, I do believe Tyrantix is a great beast. I've never actually disliked this beast. I looked at it the first time and thought, this looks like an updated version of Arachnid from Series 2. And it was. And a much better version at that. I love Arachnid, don't get me wrong. But Tyrantix having every part about Arachnid done better, except for maybe the fight, is a great aspect. And it also brought back a beast from Series 1 like Arachnid did, just a much better beast. So, so there are lots of aspects about Arachnid which I like, especially the scythe-like appendages which she has as well. And also the regeneration of lost limbs is such a overpowered ability. So yeah, Tyranids I absolutely adore. And will probably stay to be second favourite of this series. Because, let's be honest, nothing is beating my favourite of this series being Skrar the Night Scavenger. So, Skrar is here for, well, was always my favourite of this series, I believe. I need to go watch my old Series 21 Beast Review. Ugh, old videos. But if I rewatch my Beast Review of Series 21, chances are Skrar was my favourite then. And chances are Skrar is still my favourite now. So nothing has changed in my opinion with Skrar. If anything, my likeness for him has just grown stronger and stronger after each tournament which he participated in. Because originally I looked at him and thought, you might do alright in a tournament. Not great, but you might do alright. And then lo and behold, he ends up doing incredible. Making it into the quarterfinals for, I believe, both tournaments. Which is fascinating rather. It's brilliant to see, honestly. I don't normally expect, I never really expected this beast to do as good as it did, but when it did great in New Generation, I was like, okay, all generation, I'm expecting you to go all guns blazing and win. And I know exactly who defeated Skrar in all generation tournament. It was the winner of that series, which took his special ability with bursting into a ball of flames. So for Skrar to be defeated by the winner of this series, but still put up a good fight against her, that just goes to show how powerful a beast Skrar is and how close he actually was to winning that tournament. I do hope I do a tournament in the future where Skrar is able to take part in it and come in and win it hands down. Ultimately, I would like to see Skrar have a challenge. I do believe I have a tournament planned where Skrar will be able to take part in it, and I do believe in that tournament he's going to make it into at least the semi-finals. Now, I know I might be saying a lot of, I might be having a lot of faith in Skrar here, but seriously, do a Battle of the Beast tournament with Skrar in. You'll understand why I'm feeling the way I am. So, I do believe Skrar's going to get close to winning the tournament in the future. Maybe even win a tournament in the future. But as for now, Skrar's going to sit as a 2-time quarter-finalist. Which, you know, is actually not that bad. But that being said, that is my whole review on Series 20, retrospective on Series 21. Ultimately, a severely underrated series, in my opinion, with 4 incredible beasts. One being an absolute home run, the other two barely making a home run, and then you got Greymon, which is actually getting there to being a home run, in my opinion. So you know what? Was this series is underrated in my opinion, and will probably stay to be an underrated series. Ultimately, though, I'll never stop defending this series. From what the collab says, there are 2 other series which I believe are more underrated, but that's more to do with the fact of the main characters being different to the main characters that we're used to. And because I believe they're actually not that bad, that's why I put them higher than Series 21. But I still believe Series 21 is one of, if not the most underrated series of Beast Quest. And with that being said, that is all for this time. If you like what you saw and enjoyed watching me witter on and on and on about Beast Quest, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press that little notification bell down in the corner below, and I'll see you next time.